It's time for the Engaged Club, the podcast for club managers and operators that strive to create loyal and connected members, guests, and customers. Here are the two guys with the club management and digital marketing advice you need to realize your club's potential. Jim Hope and Roger Kincaid.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Engaged Club podcast. I'm Roger Kincaid. I'm the marketing guy from Off Course Golf, and you can check out our website, offcourse.golf.
I'm Jim Hope, and I'm the GM of the Derrick Golf and Winter Club. Hello, Mr. Roger Kincaid.
Jim, it's awesome to be here today, man. And I've got a bit of a controversial topic, and I want to run the title by you, and we'll see if we can't make a podcast episode out of it. But I declare that nobody wants to buy a membership at your club. They want something else.
Hey, Roger, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. I don't think they're just buying for the green fee. I think they're buying for the social and the cultural aspects that your club have to offer them and their families.
So we'll have a couple of different kinds of people that are purchasing memberships. And when you think about, membership, I want you just to sort of think about the many different ways that the word membership is used, right? I mean, membership typically means like having a particular capacity in a club entity of some sort, right? There's membership in a country club, sure, but there's also sort of membership in the New England Patriots fan club, right? And there's membership in service clubs like the Shriners. So membership can have a lot of different connotations, but membership also has a connotation where it's like a card that gives you a certain level of access to a facility, right?
Correct. Yeah, sure does.
So my question then is that if you sell a membership and you've got an annual golf membership for, say, $2,000, okay, and we see a lot of these in the off season that, there's a lot of clubs that'll promote this sort of thing, then are you really selling a membership in the club? Or are you simply selling a bulk order of a commoditized green fee?
I'd have to say that you're the latter. I think you are selling the bulk order of a commoditized green fee. The clubs that do that are generally saying, look, our memberships aren't full, and I want the money of that membership space. I've got access, I've got availability for a member. I haven't got anybody who wants to buy a share or a non-equity position in my club, but I need their dues dollars, so I'm going to put out an annual playing pass for them, pay me a due dollars, usually with a bit of a premium over what the member is paying, and they can have access to the golf course just like one of my full members would.
Right. Okay. So Robert Sorecki from Medina, he wrote a very interesting piece on LinkedIn, and I'll link to it in the show notes on this episode. So you can go to engagedclub.com, click on this episode that you're listening to right now, and you'll get a link to Robert's post there. But he talks about the pitfalls of offering various tiers of memberships, right, at your club, and he uses Mercedes as a really interesting example analogy. So Mercedes has many, many different lines of automobile. They've got different levels, and each of these different levels of car has a different price point, right? So that the person who purchases the Mercedes Maybach, they pull up in the parking lot next to a Mercedes C-Class. They're both driving a Mercedes. They're both kind of part of the same club, but they are at very, very different tiers of that club, right? And so on one hand, you want to think about what the different levels of your membership do to the prestige of your club. And I'm making the argument today, Jim, that if you defend the Maybach driver, okay, with your membership offering, you'll attract more Maybach drivers. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So the point then becomes, and we'll elaborate on this, the point then becomes that it takes a lot of guts, I think, for a club manager to not offer that, let's get the dues dollars in here. Let's see if we can get a little bit of money to patch up the wounds, if you will. It takes some guts, I think, to be able to tell those customers that are willing to shell out $2,000 that membership in this club takes a little bit more than just, buying bulk green fees. And if that's not for you, it's okay. People like us belong to this club. And if you want to be people like us, then you've got to become a member on our level.
So then how do you market your club if that's who you want to market to? If I put an ad in the front page of the business section of my local newspaper that says annual playing passes available for this year, I'm going to get a certain kind of person who wants to buy a bulk green fee. But if I want the Maybach driver in my club, how do I market that differently then so that they're the ones who they know I'm going after, not the bulk green fee buyer?
Okay, well, first of all, I would never, as your consultant, let you buy the front page of a newspaper. to sell your membership. No, I kid. But look, if you want to get, we'll stick with Robert's Mercedes analogy here. But if you want the Maybach driver, then you've got them in your club already. And so the access to more of them is through the ones who are already in your club. And so if what we're doing is we're looking outside of our network and saying, hey, who's willing to buy bulk green fees at our golf course for $2,000? Then you're going to get people whose primary motivation is to see how many times they can play golf at your club for $2,000, so that when they raise a glass of beer in your clubhouse, if they raise a glass of beer in your clubhouse, what they're doing is saying, they're bragging with their buddies about what their cost per round is down to. You know, I've played here 60 games this season. My cost per round is like plummeting, right? And what you don't want is to create that kind of lack of integrity in your membership. But instead, what you want is people that join your club to say, you know, I really joined here because of the golf course, but I found that the service component of being here, the fact that we help that local kids charity, and that the dining room is the place where I now want to bring my family for all sorts of special occasion dinners, or that, you know, I booked the boardroom because I'm really proud to show this facility off to my business partners. You know, that is the level of membership integrity that we really, really want to have. And I think that the best way for you to be able to do that is, instead of going after the low-hanging fruit by commoditizing your club's amenities, is instead saying, we prize our golf club and you have to be at this level to get into it, because that's what Mercedes does. And you know who doesn't even play the Mercedes game is Bentley. Bentley would never offer an automobile as cheap as the Maybach.
Yeah. So, but what you're saying, Roger, is that, you know, market your club to your internal member, to your member, because they're the ones who know who the new potential member is. So why am I going outside and bringing a stranger to my club who doesn't understand the culture or the social aspects of what we offer at the club, just so we got 18 or 36 holes of green grass? Why would you go to your member who knows the culture of the club, knows the type of person that are at the club, and let them go and sell that membership for you?
Yeah, you know, that's certainly one avenue of it, Jim, and I think that that's the easiest way to grow your business, right? To grow your club, which is to find people that are already within the club and then build off referral. You know, any salesperson will tell you that their referral tree is one of the easiest, lead mechanisms for them to work. But another thing, Jim, is as if you're a great club manager, as you know, I know you are, then you get to recognize sort of pockets of people, and you understand what the community of your club is and where else you might be able to find more of these people out in the wild, and then bring them in. So when you do that proposition, you're not just going out there and hanging a shingle that says, hey, come play golf here all year for $2,000. What you're saying instead is, you know, we've got a lot of people like you at our club, and I think you would really, really like to experience our club because of X, Y, and Z. Would you do me a favor and would you come by for lunch one day and maybe play a round of golf? I'd like to introduce you to some guys, because I really think that your lifestyle could be, improved just by you being around here. And of course, you be the judge. You're under no obligation.
Is that also a bit of an interview process with the members that they're playing with? Would you debrief with the member afterwards and say, is that the kind of guy that we want hanging around the club all summer? Do you want to play golf with him during men's night and have a beer? Or they may say to you, this guy's a moron. He's not who we are at the club. You shouldn't be selling him an annual membership.
You know, Jim, that's a question that I would ask you, because once, my marketing job is done and we're finding people that could join the club, then it's really up to you, the club manager, to find out if they fit. But I do think it makes a lot of sense, Jim, to go out and choose the audience, to choose the membership that you want to have at your club. When we have an established business, we often make the mistake of just thinking that we got to get, customers through the door. Like, it doesn't matter who they are. We just got to please everybody so that we can keep the till ringing. When we're proving more and more, particularly in an age where, we have millennials who are really experience oriented, or Generation Z who is really, really oriented around technology and what their friends say about businesses, that we don't want to try to be everything to everybody. Like, rather than be the grocery store bakery, I would rather be the small little bakery that makes gluten-free cookies and stuff like that says, hey, you know what? We don't have $2 boxes of cookies here. We're not for everybody. And if you don't appreciate, a $10 bag of gluten-free, croissants, then that's fine. We're not for you.
Yeah. The interesting thing is how you do that, right? Like, if I market my club that I have an annual membership available, I can package the marketing so that I am going after I'm not going after the C-Class driver of Mercedes. I'm going after the AMG guy. But at some point in time, I might have to say no to somebody. I might have to do some type of a vetting process to make sure that I am getting the AMG driver in and not the C-Class driver in. And so I guess it's up to the manager to define how they want to do that. If what they're really looking for is to engage that person in the club so they join, as opposed to engage that person for a year so they can play golf.
Right. And I think that a lot of the strategy, Jim, that comes along with that, annual membership, $2,000, come and play all the golf you want, is that you hope that they'll join. And if you ever have hope worked into your strategy in any place, it's a bad strategy.
Roger, there's always hope. What are you talking about?
Hope is a good name to have on your general manager's door. It's a bad thing to have on your in your strategy. No, look, if we sell 100 memberships and we hope that 50 of them join, we're screwed, right? Because it's so much better for you to just go out and get the 50 people that really want to join your club right now. Structure your messaging, tailor your messaging to them, and go out there and say, hey, we're here. You found us. Your life is going to be dramatically improved when you join this club. And we know that because of X, Y, and Z. So come and try it on and let's do something awesome together. The whole point of any business, Jim, and I would argue the point of a club is to make people's lives better, make them get more out of what they work really hard for, right? And so what we don't want the club to become, what we do want the club to be for these people is a place that they really want to be when they're not at work or they're not at home. Right? So how do we do that? And is the best way to do that by discounting and commoditizing the amenities in our club?
No, I think what I'm hearing you say, Roger, is that you just need to make sure you target to the market of who you are. Don't do a general blast campaign to everybody, because you're going to get everybody come walking through the door. Target your market to who are the people you want to join your club, and advertise and promote. Promote might not be the right word. Market to them accordingly. Yeah,
exactly. Now, you're going to hear a couple of things from me often. This will probably become like bumper stickers or T-shirt slogans for me on this podcast going forward. And it's a line that I think is one of the most brilliant things that marketing guru Seth Godin has said. But it's people like us do things like this. Right. And it's an entire thesis statement around what makes what you do special. People like us do things like this. And so you defend your membership. And by membership, I mean you defend the people that belong to your club when you adhere to that, saying that people like us do things like this. And if you don't want to do things like this, that's fine. This club is not for you. It's okay to tell people that this club is not for you. For two reasons. One, because you don't want that subculture coming into your club and disrupting what you do that makes it so amazing for your members. And the second thing is, you don't want to sell a membership to somebody who's not going to enjoy being at your club. We could argue that that's unethical, but why do you want somebody to start saying like, boy, oh boy, the steak sandwich is terrible here, and they never ever, the greens are always so slow. I just hate this place. Why would you want to bring that on?
Yeah, no, good point. And again, I think that referral program, which we all rely on at our own clubs, may be a great place to try and find that new trial member for a year. And actually a trial member, not a trial green fee player, not a trial golfer, a trial member.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Somebody who's going to really, that gets invited out to all aspects of the club, and that you groom them as a member, and you invite them to participate in everything that the club has to offer. Now, I got to say, I think I'm going to take it in the ear from a lot of people who listen to this episode and say, there's a marketing guy who's got no idea what it's like to run a club, running his mouth about, the financial pains that we go through. But bring it on. I really want to hear that kind of feedback and help however I can.
But my only challenge to those managers would be, and this is from, a fellow manager I know who did 10 annual passes a year, and he had a 60% conversion rate into full membership. But the reason he did was because he worked those members hard during the year, making sure they became immersed in the club and everything that it had to offer. So they didn't want to stop being a member at the end of that year. He just didn't take their green fee money or their annual dues money plus a surcharge. Of course, he took that plus the surcharge, but he also made sure that they enjoyed the club. And when they did, he knew that he had them. And so if you say to any operator that you could do a 60% conversion of anyone who played, I think they'd be really happy with that. But they have to do some work to get that as well.
Yeah, and that's a great story. That's an assertive story, right? Not one where he sold the annual memberships, and hoped they would enjoy the club enough to join. But he hand selected people that were likely candidates that could convert and made them feel important over the course of the time that they spent at the club.
You bet. And he made introductions with them, with members that he knew sort of were like-minded members who would enjoy each other's company. And once that happened and they found that social vibe and they had that social connection to the club, they weren't going anywhere.
Right. Now, you're probably in a situation where, you're going to have to do something to patch over some of the holes or sell some sort of a product that, gets a lot of money up front so that your golf course can operate. And that's what those, $2,000 or $1,000, pass packs or annual memberships do. That's fine. Look, everyone has a reality, but what I'm suggesting is that, if you call that a membership, then what your purchaser of that, what the customer or the, air quotes member looks at that as commoditized amenities, and they're trying to get more value, extract more value out of you. So instead of you giving them a membership or them, becoming a member, they're just taking value away from the club. So just be aware of that when you make these membership offerings, and make sure that you don't devalue your program too much for the existing members that you have, because I almost guarantee that that's the slippery slope to ruin for a lot of clubs, Jim.
I couldn't agree with you more, Raj. And you better make sure that your club is a style of club that will accept those type of annual members as well. Because the last thing you want to do is have your members make them feel uncomfortable when they're in your lounge, because they don't have the same stakes in the game as that full-time member does either.
All right. So a bit of a controversial episode, I think. And I'm really curious to hear what people think. And it doesn't matter what kind of club you run. If you're running a fully private country club, if you're running a semi-private club in a big city, a public or a muni golf course, you've all got different realities, and would really like to hear what you're facing and what you think about what I said. And if I can help out or, offer some insights, then I'm more than happy to. You can email us at hello@engagedclub.com. And that email will go to Jim as well, by the way. So if you want to, get in a dig at me and that Jim might appreciate, then he'll read it too. So until the next episode, thanks so much for listening.
This has been the Engaged Club podcast with Jim Hope and Roger Kincaid. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. If you like what you heard, share it with your fellow club managers and operators. Until next time, thanks for listening.